group. They're called the Nerd Bird Mafia.
Who is the Nerd Bird Mafia? What is that, Daniel Jones?
I honestly don't know.
8, 7,
We're already in Miami, yeah.
5, 4,
Okay.
3, 2,
Are you gonna?
1.
What do you?
0.
Do you mind telling me like what your plans consist of while you're there at all, or?
Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Up came the sun and dried up all the rain. Itsy bitsy spider went up the spout again. So the itsy bitsy spider went up the spout again.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
What did you say about a drone?
It's been reported that some of these online trolls have even flown drones over the family properties.
He went to the horse farm where I work and flew his drone around there and was videoed himself whistling at horses on the property and everything.
In modern-day Indiana, the town of Delphi is quiet and rural. In February of 2017, two teenage girls, Abigail Williams and Liberty German, went for a walk near the Monon High Bridge. They never came home. When the girls were found the following day, investigators documented a crime scene that immediately raised questions. Tree branches had been deliberately placed in specific arrangements. Liberty German was associated with 4 branches positioned in a precise geometric pattern. One long branch placed diagonally, a shorter branch crossing horizontally, and 2 additional branches forming a clear V shape. Abigail Williams was found nearby with a different formation. 3 branches met at a single central point, forming an asterisk-like pattern. At least one branch appeared to have been cleanly cut using a tool. These details were documented in official crime scene photographs. Near the bodies, investigators also documented a red symbol painted on a tree. The marking resembled the letter F. Laboratory testing later confirmed the substance used to paint the symbol was Liberty German's blood. The placement and appearance of the symbol raised questions about whether it carried symbolic or ritual meaning. Early in the investigation, law enforcement considered whether the crime scene reflected ritual or symbolic elements connected to Nordic pagan beliefs, often referred to as Odinism. Investigators later stated that an academic expert was consulted. However, no report from that consultation has ever been produced, the expert has never been identified, and no written conclusions exist. Based largely on that unexplained consultation, the Odinism theory was abandoned. During that time, some investigators continued examining individuals who openly practiced Odinist beliefs and whose behavior appeared to mirror aspects of the crime scene. Those investigative efforts were not adopted by the leadership overseeing the case. Investigators documented individuals connected across multiple Indiana towns, including Delphi and Rushville. Some lived near the crime scene. Some had personal connections to the victims. Some posted imagery resembling the branch formations and symbols found at the crime scene. Some allegedly made statements implicating themselves or others. Despite these documented connections, those individuals were cleared or never fully investigated. In 2023, a retired Indiana law enforcement officer sent a certified letter to the Carroll County prosecutor. The letter warned that significant exculpatory evidence had not been disclosed and that the case against Richard Allen was weaker than evidence pointing elsewhere. The prosecutor's office received the letter, but it was not provided to the defense for months. Richard Allen's arrest was based on a search warrant affidavit. According to the defense, that affidavit relied on a specific timeline. Witness statements that contradicted that timeline were omitted. Other witness statements were altered or misrepresented. The judge who signed the warrant was not presented with those conflicting details. While awaiting trial, Richard Allen was held at Westville Correctional Facility in Indiana. According to the defense, correctional officers assigned to him displayed Odinist symbols on their uniforms and social media accounts. Richard Allen reported intimidation and psychological distress. After depositions revealed the defense's awareness of Odinist evidence, those symbols disappeared. No DNA evidence links Richard Allen to the crime scene. No electronic evidence places him there. No evidence connects him to Odinism or any ritual belief system. The defense is not asking the court to decide guilt. They are asking whether the warrant used to arrest Richard Allen was based on false statements or reckless omissions. A Frank's hearing exists to answer one question: was the truth fully presented to the judge? Because if it was not, then the question is not only who committed the crime, but whether justice in Indiana followed the evidence at all.
Joining us tonight is Joshua Rood, a PhD candidate at the University of Iceland, where his academic focus is Old Norse religion and modern forms of Nordic paganism, most commonly known as Asatru. In addition to his academic work, Joshua is formally recognized in Norway as Gothi, or priest, within the Norwegian Asatru organization, Asatru Fellesskapet, Bifrost. He was also interviewed by Vice for an article that examined how Odinism and related Norse pagan traditions, originally centered on the worship of gods like Odin and Thor, have in some parts of the United States been reshaped and reinterpreted in modern contexts. His work sits at the intersection of historical scholarship and contemporary religious practice, which makes his perspective especially valuable when discussing how Norse symbolism is understood and sometimes misused in the modern world. And while it's not why he's here tonight, he's also the vocalist for the Icelandic extreme metal band, Nexian, a reminder that Iceland's engagement with Norse history spans academia, religion, and culture. That background brings us directly to tonight's discussion of the Delphi murders, where questions have been raised about the interpretation of Norse symbolism, the distinction between religion and extremist misuse, and how cultural context should be responsibly handled within a criminal investigation. Good evening, Nerdbird Mafia. Good evening, Eva, Sleuthie, and our special guest, Joshua Rood. Welcome aboard, everybody.
Thanks for having me.
Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Hi, Sleuthie. Sleuthie is joining by video tonight. This is a special honor.
I was feeling pretty excited about this, so I thought I might as well.
This is exciting. I never see Sleuthie on video. We had an opportunity to talk to Joshua backstage before this started. We're excited to have a good conversation tonight. Some disclaimers. We do have pictures of the crime scene that Sleuthie provided, but I took the victims out of those photos and replaced them with crash test dummies so that we respect the victims and that we don't show bodies up here. We want to make sure that as we dive into this religion, that we are all reminded that the Frank's Memo does not argue that Odinism is a religion that's violent. We're here to study, to learn from Joshua. The Frank's Memo argues that extremist subcultures that appropriate Norse symbols may have been involved, and we want Joshua's opinion on that tonight. So, with that said, Eva and Sleuthie, you guys have been going back and forth via text messages with data. Where do you guys want to start on this?
I'm going to leave that with Sleuthie for now.
And I was going to leave it with you because you guys have been talking. I do want to say, though, I just want to say, because when we talked about this before, it was something that we had to stress a lot, that there is a religion that exists that practices these things that are discussed. And I think the defense really didn't know a whole lot about it per se. Those are not the type of people that we're talking about in the Frank's Memo or even tonight. the people that are third party suspects that are practicing this in Indiana are what they say they bastardized the religion. They basically are hiding behind it. They're racists, and they're hiding behind a legitimate religion, which is like not unlike things that we've seen before. So I want there to be a separation between the actual religion and the kind of people that we're talking about here and the people capable of a crime like this, if that makes sense.
It makes sense. And some simple housekeeping before we get started. As we told Joshua, swearing is always encouraged in this channel, but we try to respect everyone, their opinion. We try not to be derogatory towards other humans. And let's give the mic over to Joshua. Joshua, thank you so much for coming on board tonight. I tried to give folks some of your background. First and foremost, it's 3 a.m. where you are in Iceland, so this is much appreciated. Thank you for coming on board. And why don't you tell everyone a little about your background and how you got into this?
Oh, that's too long of a story. Oh, but yeah, it's 3 a.m. here. I'm in Norway, not Iceland. If I was in Iceland, it would be 2 a.m., so it'd be a little bit better. I don't know where I would begin, but as you already explained, my academic background is in Old Norse religion, the historical religion, as well as the ways that it's been received by modern people and used religiously and spiritually. So I can talk about the different forms that is taken in the modern world, as well as the way that they relate to the that which existed 1,000 years ago and why it's important. And I've been involved with that movement, so to speak, for 20 plus years. Yeah, I don't know where to. If I start telling you my background, I'll spend 20 minutes talking about it. So
that's fine. I mean, I think this is a good place to start because Sleuthie kind of touched on it. So, I mean, just about with every religion in the world, right? There's extremism. There's offsets of just about any religion that gets to the point of extremism that kind of really deviates from what the religion is truly about at its core. Right. So I think here in this case, you have possibly the actual perpetrators of this crime were people that practice Odinism, but this may be in a very extreme way. Sleuthie can touch on this a little bit too. These guys were associated with the Vinlanders, which is basically white supremacy.
Yeah. So if I can, at least the first thing I could start, the first, I don't know, rabbit hole I could go down is, so when we talk about Odinism, we keep using this word Odinism. And for me, that already is a red flag, because Odin, it gets a bit complex, but the revival of Old Norse religion in the modern world, it's quite a big series of movements. It's not one movement, it's a lot of different movements, the same way that when you look around the world today, a lot of people are turning to nature religions and to older religions. And these take on many different forms, but they're all kind of interconnected in some way. And we would refer to the larger movement of Old Norse paganism as Ásatru or Ásatru, I think in American, Ásatru, or heathenism. And like you already said, it's not racist by and large. In fact, by and large, the Ásatru communities and groups and organizations that are out there are quite anti-racist and have done a lot of fighting against racism. In fact, there was a movement here in Norway during the church burning period in the 90s by black metal bands, where Ásatru groups were actually kind of standing vigil and protecting them from being burnt down. But the point is, Odinism has a different history, and it gets complex because it intersects with Ásatru at some point, because people are people, right? So Odinism, its origins are quite racist. I mean, Alexander Rudd Mills was a Nazi supporter during World War II, and he's the one who kind of came up with Odinism, and it actually has nothing to do with the Old Norse religion. It's Aryan ideology. It just kind of takes the name Odin and kind of slaps it in there, but it has nothing to do with the revival of the old beliefs. After World War II, the Volkish movement, that Aryan way of thinking, it didn't disappear. It just kind of went underground, right? And that Odinism sort of wove its way into other, essentially what became neo-Nazi groups, who, if you're a white supremacist and you want to find a new religion, you want to get away from Christianity, of course you're going to go to this romanticized version of the religion of Scandinavia because you're romanticizing Vikings and all of that. So you end up with this sort of intersection between Old Norse religion and white supremacy in calling itself Odinism. Now, because of the internet and because there's not a lot of experts there's not a lot of religious experts that have a big platform that can say, this is wrong, stop doing this, stop saying this, you end up with that term Odinism being thrown around a lot, and it gets very confusing. So there's a lot of people out there today who call themselves Odinists because they really like the god Odin, not realizing that Odinism has historically been a extremist religion, extremist belief, extremist ideology movement in and of itself, if that makes sense. And now in the prison system, you're also going to get extremist adaptions of also through Old Norse religion because it's prison. Islam and Christianity also have their extreme forms as well in the prison system. So you've got a lot of complexity here. My thing when I look at it is I see less of religious extremist behavior from my perspective on the outside coming in, and more what makes me think about individuals who are sick, who are using their fascination with a particular religion to sort of justify it, the same way that we see with killers, serial killers and murderers using Christianity and symbolism elsewhere. That's where I'm starting to wonder. That's my spiel. I'll bounce it back at you.
I have so much stuff that I'm sitting here that I'm like, oh my God, I agree with everything you're saying. But also, I don't know if you know anything about like Lori Vallow, like the Lori Vallow. Okay, so when this whole thing came up, I'm like, why is everybody having such a difficult time understanding that somebody could be this extreme? It is, to me, I think that they are an example, in my opinion, of hiding cruel and evil intentions behind a religion. Like you're sort of excusing it away because you're saying that this is part of the religion that I follow and I'm not the only one. And so I think that what the defense in this case didn't do maybe a very good job of, just based on how people have reacted to the filing, was if you review like Brad Holder's social media, I'll just say, he seems to be very obsessive about the magical parts of it. There's the runes are like a big thing for him, but in terms of and they do the is it bloat? We've been arguing. It is bloat. See, people, it is bloat.
I was wondering how.
Yeah,
I was wondering how to pronounce it too.
I think it's bloat.
It's bloat.
So they do that, but then like more things that I would expect to see, like living in a particular way, is not really what I see. It seems like more focused on the ritual type stuff, the magical type stuff. And I just, I have so many things in my head. I'm sitting here, I'm like, I want you to tell everybody like what you've reviewed. I agree with your initial thoughts. So you also, if I were to say that this might have been like an Odin fanboy. Does that make sense to you? Does that
Yeah.
seem? It does.
It does, and it's also if there was not a, so I was reading, as I said before, the before we went live, I was saying that I didn't get a chance to read the full report. And it's such a complicated case that I can't even begin to yeah, so I'm seeing an image here of what looks like a very
Okay, I'll tell you what this is.
typical American. I know what it is.
Oh, no. I don't know what it is, how you know what it is, but I'll tell you where I got it, because when I saw it, I was like, holy crap, because this Facebook page, for anybody that hasn't seen this, Brad Holder was the admin of this page. And this is some other guy that was also an admin posting this. And he very specifically says that, like, that is his blood on the tree, in the shape of a rune. I think it's for Thor, I believe.
It's also a curse rune.
Really? See, okay, so
But they
but
don't
in
know.
my head, I'm like, oh my God, go ahead.
Also true warriors of Midgard. So it's cringy. So no, I get such a kick out of seeing a lot of the. You said Odin fanboy, and I think it's a really good way of putting it, because you get this, you get these. I don't want to say fanboy, but you get these interpretations that are cringy amongst some people on the internet, and I don't want to. It's hard. I don't want to slam large swaths of people, but yes, the Thurs rune. It's not a Thor rune. It's a kind of a curse rune. It's a pain rune. It means thorn, and it means Thurs, which is a kind of spirit that causes pain, and
Oh my God, don't.
It's also the first letter of Thor's name. So, but
Right.
whatever, it doesn't matter.
It seems like
But-
that's as far as they got, is like T for Thor. Like, that's as
Yep.
far as we got. We're putting it on a tree.
Yep. Yeah.
Is that
But I will tell you-
jade absinthe alcohol? That's the only thing I can identify there.
Oh,
Which
he
is
did identify that book. That book was identified. I could probably find out what it is.
I'm
probably
actually
a
looking
ginger-
up absinthe. I've never even heard of it, but it's a strong herbal spirit made with wormwood, anise, and fennel.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with Alsatru. It's a cool drink though. If you put it on ice, it turns cloudy.
Interesting.
It goes from clear to cloudy.
Oh my goodness.
I don't like it. It tastes gross. Tastes like fennel.
It's horrendous. Like
Yeah.
drinking gasoline.
Who's the author? I can't read it. Oh God, the author is Brad Holder, huh? Okay, so to get back on track, there are so many different. The idea of Alsatru, or the ability to revive Old Norse religion, in connection to the internet, has allowed for countless people to connect to it any way that they want, and to find other groups of people like them. Just saying with, Odin fanboys, or there are subcultures for everything now, and they all get pretty weird if you follow them far enough. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that there are many different ways that different people might interpret how to do bloat. And so I noticed a few things so when I first saw the crime scene, without any context, I thought, because I had read how they described, the investigators described the crime scene as having overwhelming evidence of an Odinic ritual with the hallmarks of Odinism, right? Which is absurd. The crime scene does not have all the hallmarks of whatever an Odinic ritual is. It doesn't have the hallmarks of a bloat. That being said, I gotta take away from this. I'm being distracted by these images you're putting up. That being said, after I read the context, after I read about Brad Holder, and I saw the stuff that he was posting on Facebook, and I saw his approach to Ausatru, or his interpretation of Old Norse religion, and his obsessions and his particularities, then the crime scene started to make sense to me. And so it doesn't have the hallmarks of Odinism. It has what, to me, I'm not an investigator and I don't have all the facts, but what I see is evidence of a particular individual who does very specific things and has very specific, he's putting up certain images that he is attracted to, and then you're finding them at the crime scene. That's what I find interesting, not the Odinism, because you see that image you put of his particular bloat, and they're putting a rune on a tree. That is not a widespread Ausatru practice. Bloat is not about painting runes on trees. That's something that he seems to do, him particularly. It doesn't mean other people in the world don't do it, but this is not a hallmark of bloat. It's not something, I've never done it. I've never seen anybody paint runes on trees as part of bloat. So to have him post a picture of a bloat or of an altar in front of a tree with a rune put on a tree, and then you have a crime scene with what looks to be a rune on a tree, that's not evidence of Odinism. That's evidence of Brad Holder. And
Holder's version of Odinism.
Yes. And also the sticks on the girls.
Yes.
I've tried to interpret them. It's impossible for me because they're sticks, and so they don't follow certain lines, but they're definitely not specific runes. What they could be are bind runes,
yes,
which is where you take, it's where you take multiple runes and put them together. But the problem with bind runes is they're very hard for people who aren't the creator to interpret.
And do you often create that? Like, so for instance, would it be interesting and unusual that someone would have a habit of creating a lot of bind runes?
Bind runes aren't a part of bloat. Bind runes are, I mean, some people look, I make bind runes. I've taught courses on bind runes.
But you wouldn't expect someone else to just come up with the ones you've made. Like if I were to look at one of yours, it could be interpreted. Maybe I could interpret it, but usually it would just be up to you, right? So if someone, Eva, pull up the one of his hand, please.
He has bind runes on his hand?
Oh, yes. And there's a little caption too that I want you to read.
Yep. Give me 1 second. Let me find it.
See these pictures that are up right now, specifically Abby's. Okay. So now this was on his Facebook. Do you see that?
Yeah.
And then he wrote something.
Yeah, it's a bind rune.
He says exactly what it is.
Yeah, it looks like Gable and sold my Dodge with the money over to the new bumper, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, it's Gable, Isa. Okay. Okay, yeah. So, gift and ice. It's two, that's a pretty clear one, but it could be, bind runes can be difficult to interpret because runes are fairly simple lines, and when you put them together, they could make several different runes, so it's very hard to interpret them.
Right.
And so I couldn't interpret what was at the crime scene, but I don't think it matters because what I think is important is that you don't normally make bind runes in bloat. You might, but it's not an essential part of bloat. But making sticks in a line over sacrifice to be a bind rune. Oh, sorry, making sticks as bind runes in a bloat, that's another particularity of him. I mean, he took pictures of sticks making these formations of bind runes. That's a holder specific thing. That's not an Ausatru or Old Norse religion thing. So I mean, yes, bind runes are an Old Norse religion thing, but having them at that crime scene, that doesn't indicate. How do I? They talk about it like it's in fact, I think they've even used the term conspiracy. Like there's some widespread Odinic cult behind it, and it reminds me very much of Satanic Panic like talk. And I don't think that's what's going on because these are not things that you find widespread in also true. These are things that this particular man seems to be obsessed with doing. And you find it at the crime scene and you find it also in pictures on his Facebook. And so I think it's very specific evidence of this particular individual and his I'm pointing the finger at a person.
I
and
would
don't
agree.
have all
No,
the
I would
facts.
agree with you. No, I would agree with you. And I also, I could it have any, so you're saying, had you stumbled upon this crime scene, your thought
Um,
would not immediately be, unless you already had knowledge of Brad Holder and
yeah,
his case, you would not think automatically Odinism. So then my question is,
absolutely not.
what happens when this person is like one of the leaders of all the locals and he's teaching them these things that aren't necessarily correct, but he's spreading his interpretations of all this stuff?
So I don't know anything about him, which is I think interesting that like I mean you said he's part of a group called the Vinlanders?
But he
Yeah,
also had a, what do they call, like, I can't think of the name right now, but like their family, like their
the kindred.
yes. So he had one of those and he was like the equivalent of a priest.
Yeah, he called himself a Gothi.
Yes, and even had like the power or whatever to pass that down to like another
He made
horrendous
that
individual.
he made that shit up.
So there you go. So, but he's gathering like, locals, these
Right,
actual Vinlanders, and
right,
they are saying that they're practicing this Odinism.
right.
And so to me, I'm like, could it be any number of them if he's teaching them these things? Like, for instance, you said the blood on the tree. That's not a thing that happens, but it happened here and it's happened on his Facebook and he's liking it. And
Right,
that's what
right,
he thinks
right.
is supposed to happen.
Well, I
Um,
mean, like, so I would find it, I would be shocked if he has a group of, I don't know, people are fucked. But you would think that if he has a group of people and they know that he's yeah, that looks like very much like a rune. Or yeah, it's yeah, these are definitely bind runes. And this is one of the reasons why I'm saying this is indicative of him at the crime scene.
mhm.
Because yes, runes are obviously a widespread part of Old Norse stuff. It's also in Vikings and it's in the music scene and they're everywhere. They're a part of widespread culture. So but how people use them are very particular. Him having a fascination with taking sticks and laying them out to create bind runes, um, that's a very specific. I'm not saying other people don't do it, but it's not widespread uniform practice. Not everybody's doing that. That's something he's doing. And so to me, this is just so, but back to your question about if he's teaching people this,
Mhm.
there's a lot of kindreds and bloat groups out there teaching all kinds of stuff, but and a lot of it ranges from beautiful and creative to cringy and idiotic, just like so much other stuff.
Yeah.
However, uh, I would be quite surprised if he's able to bring people into a group and he doesn't seem overly charismatic to be a cult leader. So
Yeah.
to imagine and we've seen cult leaders, using Christianity, we've seen
Mhm.
cult leaders using a number of cult leaders. It's not the religion, it's the cult leader that is able
Right.
to make people do terrible things. And I would be hard. I don't think that. And again, I don't know him, and I don't know much about his background. But seeing what I've seen, I don't understand why we're talking about a possible cult
When we have
when we have evidence of when we should be talking about the possibility of an individual. And then we'll see if he's indoctrinating other people into, because there's a big difference between teaching people to paint runes on trees and teaching somebody that in order to get the blessings of the gods, you need to kidnap and murder innocent girls.
Right.
That's such a
You'd be hard pressed to get anybody to follow along with that, unless like there is in play. So I 100% I agree, and I find there's too many coincidences for it to be an actual coincidence. For instance, he has these all particular things about him that is not like usual. And they also happen to appear at a crime scene, and your son was dating one of the victims. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's really, it's not like you're just some random person we plucked off the internet. Like your son was dating him. I mean, look at this. And so one of the other things that I want you.
I didn't know about that, by the way. I don't know anything about him. So I don't know his, I
Oh,
only
yes.
know, right. All I know about him was what I was able to read in the report. I was able to see his Facebook posts, at least some of them, the ones where he with the rune sticks, the bind rune sticks, and I just saw when you guys posted it the altar with the thirst rune on the tree. So aside from that, I didn't know he was organizing people and doing bloat. And I didn't know that he has a personal connection to a victim.
Yes.
It's absurd, actually, the more you learn about it.
Yes. It's almost like this is so obvious. Like, what are we even doing? Like, it's so
It's
obvious.
absurd how quickly he was cleared as a suspect is what blows my, how many days was it? Sleuth 2?
Well, I think it was by like March. So the girls were found on February 14th. On March the 1st, he was basically cleared. But added to that is the fact that like his interview that somehow got him cleared disappeared. The other guys that are part of this Vinlander group, their interviews disappeared. It's a weird big mess. I don't know how they cleared him because it's not real clear. Regardless,
Can I just jump in for a quick second? So,
of course,
because there's people in the
He
audience.
also has a criminal history.
No, but you know, when it happened, the FBI did a press conference, and they said there's certain things that like you're gonna notice about somebody being real weird about right after we found these girls dead. One is like they changed their appearance. One is they stopped showing up to work. One is that they changed their car, or they changed their phone number, or they have excuses to not show up places, and it makes sense at one time, but now it kind of is looking a little sketchy.
Or they post weird shit on Facebook that suddenly.
The big part of this is that nobody knew anything about this crime scene. It was years later that we even found out the girls died by knives. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah. So like for him
shot.
yeah, no, exactly. Cause the bullet is like this big deal when it had nothing to do with it. Oh, do you find anything interesting about the fact that the wounds were oriented differently? So like one of the girls had horizontal wounds, one had vertical.
Maybe, but I do want to get to that, but I think nerdy.
Yeah, I just want to say something really quick because this is important for people to understand that people that aren't familiar with this case, it's not like online sleuths just came up with this theory that Odinism was involved, right? Or this angle was dropped based on an unnamed professor with no report, and we learned about that through the Franks memo, right? So this was a report, and the FBI originally came up with this theory based on that report. So this is not like online sleuths just picked up on stuff here. And also with all that said, Odinism aside, like I don't think anyone can look at this crime scene and say, like, what the fuck? Like, like this is not, the intent here is not to hide the victims out in the woods, because this is like, if it was like, this is my 3-year-old, like when we used to play hide and seek and they turn around and just because they can't see you, right, you can't see them. Like this is the equivalent of that. So Odinism aside, this is just a bizarre way to find victim bodies. And second to that, this is not like I said earlier, this is not Sleuth saying, okay, well, that's weird. No, this came from police originally, and then they sort of left it out in a report, right?
Yep.
That's all I wanted to say.
No, but I think you're right. And when I first heard reports, of course I didn't have all the facts. I still don't have all the facts. But
we could be here for days and days.
Yeah. But the Odinism angle came out of left field, and it sounded like it came out of left field, and it sounded like, actually, at first I thought it was a red herring thrown out by the defense to try and point to, just like throwing something out there. Maybe it was Odinists. Because there were sticks in weird positions, and of course,
I'm glad you thought that. Really,
I thought it was I thought it was. I never like to jump to conclusions because maybe they knew something I didn't know. But without further evidence, it just sounded absurd. And of course, as I've been saying all along, even if it is Odinists, that doesn't mean it's because of Old Norse religion. It's because there's a group of people who are sick and they're using it. But as probably the people following our discussion are also seeing themselves now, the more you get into this individual's background, Odinism aside, it's very hard not to look at the crime scene and not the crime scene. To me now, I am convinced the crime scene, there is a ritual. It was a ritual murder.
Yes. I'm glad that you hit on that.
Agreed.
Ritual as meaning not an Odinism, but his particular ritual,
his version of it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the same as you would find among serial killers, or
yes,
it was a ritual. It was performative, and they were meant to be found looking a certain way.
Absolutely.
And so we can look at that evidence and say, well, who is out there that has
these weird rituals?
Yes, that has an obsession with this sort of symbolism that we're finding at the crime scene. It wouldn't matter if it was Satanism, Christianity, Islam. It doesn't, or like something from a video game. It wouldn't matter. What's important is here is certain performative actions at a crime scene. What individuals out there can that performative action act as evidence to implicate, or who, no matter what it is? And it seems to me, with what I can see, this Brad Holder guy is so you have an image of Odin hanging from Yggdrasil.
Wait, don't, because I want to explain this to you, but I want to say I would submit to you that it's like a signature of sorts, right? So like back when serial killers were really active, like if somebody showed up and had skin missing and you had like a serial killer that likes to peel skin off, your immediate thought would be, oh my God, like we know a guy that likes to peel off skin.
Yes.
But so it's kind of like, to me, it's more of these rituals that he does, like a serial killer who likes to do the thing with the skin or put lotion on the skin. Like that's their ritual. That's what they like to do. They do it with every victim. And you see that throughout his day. Now, this in particular, there is, I guess they said that in like the real picture, or maybe it's in the tarot card, the hangman, something about the legs where this is backwards. So the right leg is bent, whereas I guess the original version, the left leg is bent. And if you notice, the right leg is bent on this one, and then Abby, the one who is dating his son, her right leg is also bent, exactly the same as this. Like this is
that was another thing that I noticed, and that was another thing that made me, when I saw that, this was another light bulb moment that made me think of this
Brad
individual.
Holder.
Yes, was when I saw, I didn't want to see the images, but I figured I needed to because it give me context, and it did. Was it Abby who was laying with her feet like this? Or yes. So her feet are in a particular position, which is exactly like so the story of Odin hanging from the world tree. Ironically, in the actual myth, the actual story, he doesn't hang from his ankles. It's more the implication is he hangs, but in popular culture and in neo-paganism, certain people have started to. This is a popular interpretation where Odin is hanging by his ankle and his feet are like this. And it may come from tarot, it may come from something else, but you will find a popular. If you Google Odin hanging from Yggdrasil, you will find various images of him hanging by an ankle with one foot like this. So it is something you'll find out there. And exactly. So somebody just posted a picture of yeah, that's not even Odin. That's
These are all from his Facebook, right, Sleuthie?
yeah.
These
There you
posts
go.
were from Brad Holder's Facebook.
Right. And that's not Odin. Or maybe it's I don't know who that's supposed to be.
Green Witch Tarot, is that supposed to
It's Wiccan-ish. So
yeah,
now we
what's
should
that
start blaming
on the
Wicca. It's a Wiccan cult. No. But no, but as we see, yeah, but the point is like you have there's a lot of intersectionality between neo-pagan and pagan and earth-based and indigenous religions, and here we have another image. So the point is not whether or not Odin hangs with his ankles like this. The point is that Brad Holder has
like that.
Has this obsession with Odin hanging this way, and we find a girl with her foot positioned intentionally in this way. When her legs were positioned that way.
Yes, 100%.
I had been curious about her hands, and also
they were like this.
Yeah, they were like this, and I couldn't figure out why, because I figured he would have had her up like that. But maybe he was trying to go for this, but he couldn't keep her hands to stay that way. Or maybe it moved after he left or something like
Yeah.
that. But the point is that I think that when you see the way that she's positioned, you see that connection with his obsession with this form of Odin hanging, which is further evidence for him and or people around him, but really him, I think, at least as a ringleader of sorts.
I think there's a lot of symbolism with the way that they were placed. Like so much of it, between the way that Abby was placed with her feet like that, and then her hands over her chest. Libby's almost the exact opposite. Her
wide
legs,
open.
Yep. And then her arm outreached. One being clothed and one being unclothed. I was almost wondering too, and you can tell me if there's maybe any elements to like Odinism that he would derive this from. Would one of them being clothed and one of them being unclothed, would that be like symbolizing like the masculine and the feminine? Is there any kind of element to that in Odinism?
I want to add to that, if that's okay. Not only just one naked and one clothed, one naked and filthy, covered in blood, one clothed and pristine clean. I mean, not a drop of blood on her.
Does that mean he cleaned?
She was pristine. She had no blood. She had no blood on her hands. She had one cut across her neck. The other one had cuts all down her neck.
Which one? So
the clothed and pristine one was the boyfriend or the girlfriend.
That was my question. My question was, which one does he have a personal relationship with?
The clothed and clean one. Yep.
So that might his personal. So there's no
an important context here for people in the chat wondering, because I was wondering when Sleuthie shared the photos. Neither Abby or Libby, there's no evidence that neither one of them was sexually assaulted, right? So
no,
the act of leaving one nude and the other fully clothed is really bizarre to me. If there was no sexual assault,
there was no evidence of that according to the medical examiner in terms of like trauma, but they did find unidentified male DNA like on private areas and inside them, but they still said that there was no outward signs of sexual assault.
That semen could have been from other teenage partners.
They said it could be from the laundry.
Okay.
They said it could be from the laundry.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Back to the question about the symbolism. The problem with trying to, it's very hard to state definitely whether or not there is or isn't this the separation of masculine and feminine is not a big thing in Old Norse religion or in most forms of Ausatru. There is ideas of feminine, divine forms of femininity and divine forms of masculinity, but there's not this. That is actually more of a Wiccan thing. This separation in this way, but Odinism has its own weird takes on a lot of stuff. So it's hard to say. Maybe in his what he's been reading and what he's been, because he's clearly interested in tarot. And he was interested in, I saw some glimpse that said in 2015 he was into Satanism. So this is clearly a guy who shops around in the occult and in alternative religion, stuff like that. So
he's a Mason also. He's like a master Mason.
Yes, of course. So you're gonna find you could find these things if it's in popular culture somewhere. He may have found it and latched onto it, and this is part. But there's nothing in Odin, in the story of Odin's sacrifice, and in Bloat. There is no screaming thing for me to see. Well, first of all, in Bloat, there's not the idea of sacrificing people, but if you did, there's no idea. There's no idea of clothing and unclothing. So I can't find a connection with that. But I did find this is I don't want to. This is not an open. How do I put this? Is not a definite theory of mine, but I had a thought and a pondering when I was looking at the images. Not Abby, but I'm sorry, I'm bad with the name.
Libby was the one that did not have any clothes on.
So Libby's positioning. Well, 2 points actually. I want to make 2 points. I think that when they portray the bind room, and I don't actually 3 points. The first point is I actually don't think anything that I'm about to say really matters, because if we spend too much time digging into what the possible Old Norse symbolism could be, then I think we're actually focusing on the wrong stuff, because it's not Old Norse religion that did this. It is a person who, if it is Brad Holder, if it is this guy, it's none of the deep symbolism matters. What matters is that he is a character with obsessions who committed a terrible crime, and we just need to find out enough of why he, you know what I mean, to connect him to it. That being said, when I was looking at them, I would actually state that when they show the bind runes, or when they show the sticks that are possibly bind runes, I think they're actually upside down, because, or at least for Abby, the clothed one, because if she's clearly being posed like Odin when he hangs.
Wouldn't you be looking at her from her head rather than?
Maybe I would interpret it that he and it's also interesting if it's also kind of interesting that he turned her into the one that I don't want to say he turned her into Odin, but she's posed like Odin, the one who makes the sacrifice for wisdom. And so she's upside down if we take that interpretation, which it looks like is if Holder did it, and if she's posed like Odin, then we should turn the rune. Then we should look at it as her head is down, legs are up.
Right.
So then the bind runes, we would turn them upside down, right?
Yeah.
Because yeah. So, but I tried doing that, and I still nothing stuck out to me. But still, that's that piece. The other girl,
Libby.
Libby, her arms are in a pose that in themselves could form a rune, and it's kind of a significant one, actually. It's a significant one in blow.
Remind me what it is, because I actually, so funny story, I went down a rabbit hole. Brad Holder had uploaded a bunch of PDFs of like these different books that he was reading for the people in that Facebook group to read. And in one of them, it was like runic magic, something, and it had all these diagrams of how to like form runes with your body for magic.
Do you know? Okay. So
he did. I knew he did.
I didn't know that. What I thought was, so it's very cringy, and it's called and it's called runic yoga, and it is not an Old Norse thing. It actually started with in the Volkish movement, the pre-Nazi Germany, but it's part of the Volkish, movement that
like the three triangles,
where they started trying to do, and they're trying to do, and it kind of has become a thing in some groups of also true people, and Odinists are sort of into this runic yoga thing. As you can tell by my mocking voice, I am not into it. But I suspected he might be. And if he is, when I saw her laying that way, I thought this could be him turning her into the rune Aur, which is a pretty important. The rune is important, but the concept is important, because Aur means a year, but it really means prosperity and plenty. And when you give bloat, when you do bloat, even like this is a uniform thing in Alpha-True. Like one of the things for bloat is just peace and prosperity, and then it gets bastardized by people and stuff. But prosperity, Aur means, like, there's an ancient prayer formula that we even do, which is Til Aurs og Friðar, which means for a year of prosperity and sort of good growing and all the things that are good, and for peace. So there's a rune that represents that, which is Aur, and that is the shape that she is put in. And she is in such a specific shape, with her arm, one arm up and one arm down, that it's either that or as above, so below.
and you can't tell, I don't think, from the pictures, and if this makes any difference. So first of all, I know you know about the tree with the blood.
So the other thing with the blood, I'll let you finish, because I have another theory on the blood tree thing.
Yeah, that's a totally separate tree. So like that tree was over here, and then their bodies were over here. So the killings happened over by that F tree. That we call it the F tree. That's not like, we call it the F tree. And then they somehow got over by this other tree. And Libby in particular, the one who's naked with her arm outstretched, her face, she's like looking at her hand, and that hand is touching like the base of another huge tree. I don't think you could tell that by the pictures that you saw.
No, I couldn't tell it. No.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's important at all, but her hand is literally touching a tree, and she's looking right at it with the hand that's up.
I don't know. I can't think of that, but I do think it's significant that she's posed in a way that made me go, whoever did this might be into runic yoga.
And you didn't know until I just said that.
No, and then it's like, oh yeah, he's into runic yoga. Yeah, of course he is. You can already
You
tell.
couldn't write this any better.
Even if he
A question for Joshua from the chat. You've seen the F tree, Joshua. Someone's asking if you can ask Joshua if it could possibly be an algaes.
An algaes rune. On the tree, the blood on the tree, the F, the
Yes, sir.
blood F. You mean?
Yes.
It maybe, but I had wondered if it could be algaes, but I wonder myself if because the FBI or one of the people involved in the case, they argued, and their argument was it was hard to read because it was kind of like reading Satanic Panic shit.
They're in the dark they were in the dark with this,
Yeah, of course. And
I think it was a struggle not to be offensive, obviously. Like, you don't want to be like offensive, but you also are totally ignorant to like what.
Yeah, I mean, one of the officers said something like, well, I'll get to this. It's kind of a funny. I had a funny reaction to something an officer said, but back to the tree. I have an alternative. It's not a theory. It's a pondering, just like the pose. It's not a theory. It's me wondering. But the tree, they assume it could be Anzus, which is basically an A, which means God. It means aus. It means not Christian God. It means like a pagan God. But in one of the rune poems, the sources that we have for them, Aus or Anzus is Odin. So they theorize it represents Anzus because it represents Odin. Odinists, which may be becoming, it could be. But I wonder if it's actually, as you keep calling it, the F tree, I actually wonder if it is the rune for F, which is Fie, which kind of means the same thing as Aur, the position that she's in. She's in a position for Aur, which means plenty, prosperity, and Fie is a rune for wealth. And actually, in Old Norse religion, we have runic inscriptions from before Christianity of runic inscriptions asking for wealth, Fie, 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 the Fie rune carved over and over again. It always means wealth. Fie means wealth. So I had wondered if perhaps it is Fie. But it could be algaes. It could also be Anzus.
So question for you.
Again, it doesn't really matter so much what it is, so much as does it relate to a certain person and their weird obsessions. Yeah.
So my question is, so you're looking at this right now, and then Eva, can you pull up the painting that he did? This was also just a couple days after the year anniversary of the girls being found.
There's so much evidence.
It's crazy. Like, you're saying things and you're like, it's a pondering, and I'm like going through my filing cabinet in my brain, like of what I have found. Yeah, this right here. Okay, can you zoom in?
I want to know who this supposed expert that they talked to was.
There's two.
That everything has disappeared from, so they don't know who it was.
The Purdue professor, yeah.
Yeah, we actually have the report, and then I have a recording of an interview with him in 2024, 3.
I just want to pause because I just want to bookmark. Someone in the chat wants to make sure that we get Joshua's thoughts on the cops. So I know there's a lot of ADHD minds on this panel right now. The questions are great, but okay. Make sure you bookmark that, Joshua. I appreciate it.
My thought on the cops?
Yeah, you were, before we got into the pictures and the F, you were about to. Yeah.
One specific thing said by I believe it was a cop, a deputy, I think. But bring it back to me. All right, now this picture, what do we?
Yeah. Eva, can you zoom in right under his hand, like the very middle of the tree? There's like
a bowl looking thing with blood in it.
Okay, can you see a symbol on that?
On the tree or on the or I
How do I?
see
Yeah, zoom it right there, right at the very center at the bottom. Yeah, your
the
cursor, I
circle,
think,
the circle with
right there.
the
Yep,
red.
yep.
Yeah. I don't want to read too deeply into it because it could be because you see other little circles. It looks like a rock with blood on it,
Yeah, it doesn't
or
look great on the
or
computer.
yeah, or it could be a bowl with blood in it. Which I mean, if you did bloat in the very old-fashioned way, you would have blood in a bowl and you would splatter it, but not human blood. And this is
I
we're talking
have
about. We're also talking about 1,000 years ago, and things change. But this could be a rock with blood on it. It could be a bowl with blood in it. What are your thoughts? Why are you bringing my attention to it?
so I have the original, and I think that you might be able to see it. But I say original, but this is like a scanned document, so this is not great.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Um, let me set. So he said, well, I started back. This was so the girls were found February 14th, 2017. This he posted February 17th, 2018, and said, Hail Odin. But something that I noticed about that particular one, I'm going to send it to Eva,
Wait, so he
is
posted
that,
this on the anniversary,
yeah.
and he said, "Hey, oh, what a cunt."
And Sleuthie, I think you through Zoom can share your content as well. You're welcome to do it anyway, but you are able to
I don't
share
know
as
how
well.
to do that.
Okay.
It's on my phone.
All right. Shoot it over.
But oh yeah, that's see there you go. But so something I noticed, the F on the tree looks like the F part is like upwards. The F in this picture looks like it's like downwards. Like I want you to look at that one particular one in the center, and it looks like the one on the tree, just with the F part of it pointing down instead of up.
I don't see the F on the tree though in the picture.
It's not on the tree. It's in that little circle at the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, the quality is so bad that I
I
cannot.
know.
Yeah, I can kind of see it looking like an F pointing down. If it's an F,
Stand by 1 second. I'm going to get a clearer image up. Send Sleuthie just
yeah.
sent it.
If it is an F pointing down, and it's a rune instead of just an F. But I mean, this is under Odin, so it's not an F. Then it would be Ansus, which means God, which means Odin, actually. So it would actually make sense
Pointed
to
downwards.
yeah. If you type in Ansus, uh, then Ansus rune, then you'll see it. So
Yeah, I think they fucked that up when they said like that it was because it's clearly in the F tree photo for me, it's clearly it looks like if it's not perfectly like an a regular normal F, it's obviously pointed more upward than downward. Can you see that any better? I feel like now you'll see it because I've put it in your
There
head.
it looks like
yeah.
it looks like there's space in between them. It does look like a
it looks.
I see it. Yeah.
Me too. It looks intentional. If I was trying to, if my friend sent me this and said I drew a rune, which rune is it? I would guess that it's Anzus.
Okay. Now
Which,
that you said intentional, I'm curious if you think that the F on the tree, the sticks on the girls, and the way that their bodies are, if all of that appears intentional to you.
if I think that the placement of the sticks and the F on the tree are intentional by the person who did it,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely, because you don't the sticks weren't placed there to hide them. They were put there to represent something to the person who did the killing and possibly for those who find the girls, I think. I mean, it's obvious, right? And in blood didn't accidentally splatter into an F shape on the tree. So these things are obviously intentional. The positioning of the girls is intentional. It's all performative. It's
Which
all
he is very performative, in my opinion.
yeah. This has all been done intentionally by the killer. So then you have to ask yourself why. And you know, it I don't know why he's not being looked at much harder, because I try not to be a web sleuth. And but my God, I mean, the evidence
Well,
indicate, I mean, the
if you really
connections.
want to have your mind blown, let's give you a little rundown. We've spent a lot of time talking about Brad Holder, but in comparison, the man that is actually sitting in prison convicted of this crime, Sleuthie, you want to give a little background on how he ties to this?
So like not at all, like zero at all.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like they so he was like they searched through everything. They found, I mean, they had like 14 devices. They found no curiosity of any of this stuff, any like looking at weird websites or stuff about kids, like gross, nothing, literally nothing like this. Not looking into actual Odinism, not looking into how do I join my local racists, nothing like looking at Brad Holder's Facebook, nothing. There's no tie to him whatsoever, but yet somehow he's the one that put all this stuff here. But also he's 5'4", which is the same height as the girls. One actually weighed more than him. And one of the things with this crime scene too, that I don't think we've touched on, is that there were no drag marks. So from point A by the F tree to where they ended up, there were no drag marks.
They've been carried.
Carried. Also, something else to suggest that they were carried in a particular way is that the girls, so their necks were cut, like I said, Libby, the one who was naked, had they said it was like 3 to 5 or something, cuts on her neck that were vertical, which I found extremely odd. I've never seen that. 3 cuts to her neck vertically, and their blood was running from their neck like up to their foreheads.
So you had them upside down?
Exactly. So they're like, there's no drag marks. This 5'4" man did not pick up an over 200-pound girl, dead weight, because she's already dead, because she died over by this F tree where all of her blood is. Like, throw her over his shoulder like a sack of potatoes, and then drop her where she was, and then carry a big tree limb, because like one of the sticks on her was not a stick. Like, I hate that we call it a stick. It was a tree branch. But yes, it seemed as though they were upside down. The other thing is the other girl, the one that's connected to Brad Holder, was dating his son, was fully clothed and pristine. Her blood was like really nowhere to be found.
Really?
Yes.
So there's not a lot of her blood at the crime scene?
Right. It's just a little bit on the sweatshirt, but other than that, all the other blood is Libby's.
So they think they collected, the killer collected her blood?
Might have. I mean, it has to be somewhere. It didn't seep into the ground.
Right.
Oh, there was also a puddle of blood that also had sticks in the form of this like asterisk also. I don't know if we told you that.
No, I haven't seen it either. So right, well, I don't have any thoughts on you had asked for my thoughts on the vertical cutting. Not really, other than no, there's nothing really there other than like you said, that's a weird way to cut somebody's throat.
Yeah.
Both of their throats were cut?
Yeah, the other one, the one that was clothed, had just one thin, small, horizontal cut to her neck, and the other one had multiple vertical, very like jagged. Like they originally thought that 2 different knives had been used.
Two fun facts while you're pondering that. The FBI Behavioral Analyst Unit allegedly concluded that Nordic beliefs were involved. So it was the FBI behavioral analyst that actually brought this up. And from this Frank's memo, Even former law enforcement privately expressed belief that more than one person was involved. As you sit there talking about no marks of the bodies being dragged, former law enforcement concluded that this had to take more than one person, this crime scene. There was planning, staging, and two girls, like Sleuthie points out. I think you said Richard Allen was 180 pounds when he was arrested, and one of these girls outweighs him by 20 pounds. This would have taken a lot of time and more stamina than what Richard Allen appears to have when he was arrested. And
He
even
had a
before
heart
this. Yeah.
Also, like, they supposedly crossed a creek with water up to like their chests, like, and he managed to control it. None of it makes any sense. And we haven't even talked about, we could talk about like Elvis Fields.
Yeah, who I know nothing about. But my thoughts on, I had my initial thought when I read that the FBI, that they thought, based, like I said, behavioral analysts thought that this was connected to Odinism or Ausatru or whatever you want to call it, Old Norse religion, was when you, like I said before, when you look at that crime scene without context, I am an expert on Old Norse religion and the modern uses of it. I could not say that this has the hallmarks of a Odinic ritual. It does not. So I feel like they have more reason to believe it's connected to Odinism than simply what's at the crime scene. Because what's at the crime scene on its own, without the context of all the stuff we've been looking at that are specifically connected to Holder, not Odinism, it doesn't indicate bloat. It's definitely ritualistic, but it's nothing that screams Old Norse religion. And so I feel like they had more reason to suspect it was connected to people involved in Odinism than simply what was at the crime scene.
Right.
And
But in a way
so,
that's like not necessarily like, I see what you're saying. Like, this isn't necessarily connected to Odinism. This is connected to an extreme person who
yeah,
has their own kind of janky version of Odinism and
but it
believes that that's what they're practicing while they're doing something very extreme.
yes, but what I'm trying to say without saying it in a way that sounds overly suspicious, is that I mean, this guy was when we look at all the evidence that connects it, that seems to connect to Brad Holder, to have him off so quickly, so easily. I don't know. It just, was he was involved in, what was he, a corrections officer? Was he
No. So that's an
or was,
added thing, is that there
yeah,
were
okay.
corrections officers.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
What do
But
you think about
yeah,
that? So what do you think about that? The ones that were guarding Richard Allen had patches on their prison issued uniforms that said, "In Odin we trust." The other one said, "I hate people." They also had like the triangles, the three triangles.
Valknut.
So at
Yes. And then
Westville Correctional Facility, Sergeant Robinson and Sergeant Jones wore patches saying "In Odin We Trust" with Valknut symbols, Norse warrior death emblem, starting on April 3rd, 2023. They allegedly videotaped attorney visits, eavesdropped, and intimidated Allen. Patches were allegedly removed only after the defense exposed Odinism knowledge on August 10th, 2023, coinciding with Allen's mental decline and confessions under duress.
And then one of them went and got a tattoo of Odin's spear on his face when they had to take the patches off.
I mean, the Valknut symbol is not, it's not a hate symbol, and it's not an Odinist symbol. It is an Old Norse symbol, and it is used in Ausatru, and there's nothing evil about that symbol. But it's the context. It's always the context that matters, right? I mean, I have friends who, I have lots of friends who developed no tattoo, and it's quite it's quite widespread.
I have nothing against tattoos. I have a lot
That's not the
as
problem.
well,
But
but
the issue is that I just wonder if what I wonder is if the reason the FBI suspected that it was connected to Odinism was because they had somebody already in their crosshairs. There's something already going on, and because I don't believe for a moment that an FBI behavioral analyst who is less of an expert on Old Norse religion than me was able to look at the crime scene and go, yeah, this is the work of Odinists. No way. They would have thought that because they have something else. And we're talking about other evidence, like the corrections officers bullying him, and there is more to it. Maybe we don't have all the information that they have, but they had more reason to believe that it was connected to practitioners of Odinism than simply what they saw at the crime scene. I can almost guarantee it that they must have had more reason to be suspicious than that.
I still hold you to that. Sorry, I'm going to still hold you to that bookmark because you were going to digress into the cops and what you read in the report. But there's someone else here that has some ritualistic activity, at least in my opinion. And Sleuthie just mentioned that person, Elvis Fields. So this person, Fields, told his sisters on February 14th, 2017, that he was on the bridge with the girls that were murdered. He called Abby a troublemaker and a pain in the ass. And this is the ritualistic part, placed horns on her head with sticks and leaves, and now had a brother and was in a gang. And then in October 2017, he admitted spitting on one girl post-killing and asked police, what if my spit is found, but I explain it? Am I still in trouble? Yeah, his sister passed a polygraph confirming those accounts. So, and I know, listen, this report, to convert it to audio, it's 5 hours audio. But I want to make sure that we touch on some key players here because Holder wasn't the only one that was mentioned in this report. So I wanted to throw that out there.
Did these two characters have a connection to each other? Are they both?
So yeah, so there is a connection. One of the things is that this Elvis Fields lives like 120 miles from the crime. So lives far away from Brad Holder. However, they so happened to be like following each other on Facebook, and this Elvis Fields, there's much talk of how he's like mentally I don't know the word I'm looking for, because like I think education wise he's not very educated, but like he's not mentally like whatever the politically correct word is. They say he has like the mental capacity of a 7-year-old. That's not true because 7-year-olds don't rebuild motors and engines, small engines from like that's just not true. However, he was like mimicking. Well, there's some argument in the depositions who was mimicking who, but he and Brad Holder had a lot of like mimicked Facebook posts. So like Holder would post pictures of like a knife and some rocks and some sticks. Elvis also was posting rocks and sticks and knives. So there's that connection in terms of how would they even know who each other is? And there's still been no explanation how they would know each other.
Maybe they're both involved in local Odinist crew. And Elvis started following Holder, and now Holder has a peon to help him with his and this is and now we're definitely in the world of sleuthing ourselves. But if there's just it's just too much. It's absurd. It's absurd.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
It is, and because.
It becomes infuriating.
If a person says that they spit on her after she was dead, that means they were at the crime. That means they were at the scene.
Straight to jail.
Huh?
Yeah. Straight to jail. What do you mean you spit on her?
Yeah, that's just weird.
But it also, I had said earlier that in order for like I've already given my thoughts on Odinism. It's already a fringe part of Old Norse. If, like I said, if somebody says to me that they're an Odinist, I am automatically going to think that they are a white supremacist, and therefore involved in all kinds of shady activity, anyways, or they're new to Alsatru and very just sort of ignorant, and they found that word Odinism and they're like, I like Odin, I'm an Odinist. They're one or the other. So if you get a group of people that are calling themselves Odinists, they're already, in my opinion, and they're already fringe, right? So now if you have a community of Odinists in this part of
Indiana,
the country, yeah. I already find that troubling. But but even if you have a group of Odinists, I would still, there's one thing to be a racist, and it's another to go out and commit murder. But and I had said I would find it to be, I would be, I would find it, I would be surprised if somebody could get a group of people to go out and start killing innocent girls.
but you might get an Igor, right?
But you might get an Igor. Yeah, you might get one or two Igors, and let me tell you, there's a number of Igors in the fringe religious communities out there. So, but I don't know enough about this character, but I think that these are at the least these are leads that people should follow, that they should be following, because it's too much. It's especially with Brad Holder, there is just far too much, not indicative of Odinism, but indicative of him specifically, because of his particular take, his particular use of symbolism, his particular approach to bloat, all of this stuff, his connection to one of the girls. And then maybe you can at least hard question the guy, Pat. So it's 4 o'clock.
Yeah,
4:30 in the morning for me. The other guy, what is his connection? Because he has a connection to, yes, Elvis Field.
Yeah.
So I have the bookmark. I'll turn to it. My there was a state trooper, Kevin Murphy. He investigated the Odinist angle, and he
They
was
really
learning.
mean the Vinlanders, like these racist.
Right. And,
yeah.
Well, they're calling themselves Vinlanders, so they're it's red flags of white supremacy. Not so, but here I was reading about him talking about Odin, and how he was learning about the Odin myth, and he said the Odin myth and the connection to the ritual and Odin's ritual, and how he was hanged and stabbed. And he said, it seems to me to border an almost satanic type of worshiping sacrifice. The act when he was learning that in Old Norse religion, they would give sacrifices and offerings, and that Odin sacrificed himself. And all I could think of, it sort of, I chuckled, because that particular myth, to give you the brief rundown of it, is Odin. This is a deity, is a death god, but is also a wisdom god. It's a magic god. It's a lot of things. But Odin is very heavily connected to shamanism, and one of the things he does is he goes to the world tree Yggdrasil, and he hangs himself from it in a sort of ritual ceremony. He hangs for 9 days and 9 nights. To find wisdom and to find the runes, which is basically another, form of wisdom. And while he's hanging, he's stabbed with a spear, and nobody gives him any drink or bread. And what's funny about that is this is a myth that I'm going to put on my nerd hat here. This myth, it is an Old Norse myth, but we who study Old Norse religion can see that we say that this is one of those myths that is Christianized. It reflects when the pagan Scandinavians encountered Christians and they start interpreting Christian myth. So they understood that, the Christian God, he hanged from a tree and he was stabbed with a spear and nobody would give him anything to drink except for vinegar. Well, and then that gets woven into their god, their shaman god's what do you call it, ritual that he performs, where he hangs and now he gets stabbed with a spear and doesn't get any drink. The difference being that Christ is sacrificed and Odin does it as a sort of what's the word, like a ceremony to gain wisdom.
Yeah.
But what the trooper was like, stabbed with a spear and it's so satanic. And I'm just like, these are all the things these are the Christian elements. Like Christ went through the same thing. You didn't think that was satanic. So what we saw here is it was just sort of like the knee-jerk reaction that somebody has when they encounter a different belief system.
Right.
Now, that's not to say that obviously whoever killed these girls, what they did was horrific and horrible and a bastardization. But the myth of Odin hanging from the tree is not satanic or evil in any way. So that was my thought on that. It reminded me of, like, I keep bringing up the satanic panic thing, and which, as you guys know, was a big thing in the 80s and the early 90s. And I think in some ways we are starting to see it emerge again in a new form in America. But it's not taking on the same shape as it did in the 80s. Now it's taking on a shape, what it is directed at non-Christians a lot. And pagan religions are getting quite a bit of what do you call it? Prejudice from, heavily Christian demographics. So if a murder takes place or a crime takes place and an individual is connected to Christianity and they're using it in fucked up ways, that easily the investigators are very easily able to point out how that person was using these symbols and this stuff in their own way. But when it happens and the person is involved with a pagan religion or a non-Christian religion, they are looking at the whole religion and trying to look for, like, they even call it an Odinist conspiracy in the notes. And there might be a conspiracy between Holder or between the killer. I keep saying Holder, but between the killer and a few friends.
It ain't Richard Allen.
Right. Yeah. But the Richard Allen thing, it kind of reminds me of the Memphis 3 kind of a thing where you've got a person who there's no evidence aiming to them, but they're like, it's like the stamp is put on them and then they don't want to open the books back up. It kind of feels that way to me.
And even like the West Memphis 3, like there was at least details, right? Like the lengths of Richard Allen's like confessions are, I did it, I killed them. Like I to this day, I don't even think he knows like where they were. Like I don't think he knows. Like if you brought him out in the woods and you're like, show us where were they at? How did you walk them down here? How did you get here? Like I don't think that he knows. But instead of talking about Richard Allen's innocence, which I could absolutely do all day long, I think that your explanation for this probably would have went a much longer way in terms of, instead of focusing on the things that they did focus on, instead hone in on like what you said, whereas not necessarily was I seeing real Odinist things, actual things they do in bloat, but I'm seeing all these things that are so they're unusual for what Odinists would actually do, that it's really highly unusual that the person that knew one of the girls and was a suspect just so happens to be doing all these things that making it more about his habit, like I said, calling it like what was the word that I used? I can't even think right now. A signature. Like these look like a lot of signatures to me.
Yep.
And I'm curious how you would feel just knowing about this stuff. If I said to you that they weren't allowed to present any of this like at a trial in regards to all these peculiarities against Brad Holder, because the judge said that none of those things were enough of a connection between him and the crime scene. Would you agree with that?
No, I think it's I don't know how the judge can make that. I don't know how they could bring themselves to either he didn't have any of the information, but he should have had it. I don't know how he can make that conclusion. I just don't. Especially, yeah, I don't know how you overlook it.
It's intellectually dishonest to say that these are not a connection.
But we see it a lot in the criminal justice system where you see this enough that where they want to either close the case or because of the red tape that is there. I don't know what's in the minds of the judge or whatever, but
she was awful.
Yeah, well, it seems pretty obvious to me that what makes me concerned is that these killings were not a crime of passion. They were deliberate and they were ritual, and that tells me that the person is just as likely to do it again.
Yes.
So,
which is scary.
Yeah. So yeah, that's this is my take on what I haven't looked at the evidence as I've seen it, and you guys have gotten to see my live reaction to things.
It's been so amazing. It's so nice to have somebody new to talk to, and especially someone smart that knows about this stuff.
I don't know about the case. I just know about when I'm looking at the details and knowing what I know about Old Norse religion, and then you see this individual and his uses of it. To me, it's very particular. Yeah.
I want to take a couple minutes because I know it is extremely late for you, Joshua. I want to give an opportunity for Sleuthie, Eva, and myself to each pick maybe a couple chats. I know people in the chat have questions that they want to ask Joshua. I want to give everyone an opportunity to do that. Sleuthie, do you want to start? We can take a breather for a second. You can review the chat. You don't feel like you're on the spot, but
let Eva go first, or you go first, because I've literally not stopped talking.
I'll go first so you guys can scan it. Criminal Network says, tell Joshua that Brad Holder wanted to be a Gotti, Goti, like a priest, like his father was a priest. So that's some interesting information if true. That's not really a question. That's just
we're butchering all the words. Sorry.
Yeah, I when I recorded the intro earlier, Sleuthie, for Joshua, I had to do it over like 3 times. Some of the words were I had to go look up the pronunciation. That wasn't so much a question as it was just a comment to you, Kim. Thank you very much for the super chat. That was really, really nice of you. I just saw that fly through, and just a thank you, not even a question. So much appreciated, folks in the chat. This is your opportunity. It was really. Go ahead, Diva.
I was going to say we got one here. So Amanda asked, does Joshua have any idea as to what the killer was trying to say with the crime scene? Is there anything that you can interpret from any of it?
What he was trying to say?
Look.
No, I mean, bloat. The purpose of bloat is going to the gods or going to the powers, the cosmic powers, and giving gifts in exchange for gifts. So, and you find this throughout indigenous religions around the world. You find this in animist religions and traditions. It's as simple as leaving out like food for the spirits as a thank you. And big bloats are bigger and more ceremonial and involve singing and dancing. They get more elaborate. Let's assume that the killer did kill them in the name of Odinism. And they say I'm trying to be fair to Holder, but let's say that it's him.
It's hard.
It's very you really got to be putting like the wool on your eyes, just choosing to not look at stuff. But then you would then say, okay, then he tried to kill them in a bloat. So he tried to ritually sacrifice them. So then he tried to kill them as an offering to Odin. But I don't think that's what he did. I think he killed them because he wanted to kill somebody. And this was, as you said, his hallmark. This was his way of doing it. He wanted to kill somebody. He wanted to know whoever the killer was, killed them because they wanted to kill them. They wanted to know what it was like to kill somebody. They got a kick out of doing the ritual things that they did to them. And I think that beyond that, trying to read what they're trying to communicate, almost gives them too much credit.
I'm so glad. I'm glad that you said that. I want to tell you that so as the girls were missing before they were found, because I know you can't know this. As the girls were missing before they were found, it was about 4 in the morning. Around 4 in the morning, Brad Holder posts on Facebook that he is full of adrenaline and at the gym, and his testosterone is through the roof. I mean, totally just, he had been at the gym earlier that day and made a big scene on Facebook about how essentially powerful he felt, full of testosterone, a lot of energy. Does that seem surprising to you if you think that like, to me, the way that I look at it as he did what he wanted to do, he did it in the way that he wanted to do it. He fulfilled these compulsions that include his ritualistic stuff that he's doing all the time, and he felt very powerful when he left there.
This is pretty standard when you hear like when you know serial killers and people who kill, they get that high. That's why they do it. And I'm
it's
almost
exhilarating for them.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm actually surprised there's not a explicitly sexual element, at least in the evidence that we see. There might have been. So that would have been the horrible pun, but that would have been the icing on the cake. But
Teresa, these are type of people. I know Teresa's in the chat. She has to know.
But to have that last element, if there was a sexual element, that would just be the last element to kind of like top it off. That of course this is what the person feels. So no, I'm not at all surprised that he's talking about how masculine and full of power and energy he is. If he's the one that did it, allegedly.
You have to see the shower pose. So me and Teresa, my friend Teresa, it's her channel. I get take over sometimes. She's gracious enough to deal with me. And we have like this picture. So it was like a year after the crime. He posted on a like Norse pagan Facebook singles page. And he's like, I'm a heathen from like, he's like, and he posted a picture. He's looking for like a heathen girlfriend. He posted this picture of him in the shower, and it's like above his head, and he's like holding, we don't know what he's holding because you see nothing. So it just seems not normal. But anyway, we make fun of him all the time with that because he's this big burly man. And so it's actually another thing that's really interesting is his gym. When he goes to the gym, it was very around that time, and then never again. And he like never looked different. He was like still fat. But he would like go to the gym like every day for like that month, and then nothing. And then like next year come around, and then he'd go to the gym like every day for a month.
Was it in January?
February.
Oh. Close. February is towards the end when the people they go to the gym for about a month after the resolutions.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. I didn't give him that credit. I should have.
And then February rolls around,
What if, Sleuthie,
he
what if
flexes
that's what
the
he
elite.
was? I mean, maybe that, because you had mentioned like about one of the runes being about prosperity. Like maybe he's thinking after he
New
did
year,
this
new me.
ritual, he's going to be like blessed and going to the gym, he's going to get ripped and all this stuff. And it just didn't happen that way.
Of course, it didn't happen that way. And what's actually kind of what I mean, the thing is like, I mean, I don't even have to go into the fact that like committing murder and taking innocent lives, and it creates discord, harming. It's sort of anti what Old Norse religion and also true is about. I mean, people, especially in Odinism, they obsess over the whole Viking thing, the Viking imagery, but that's romanticism. That's not historical reality, and that's definitely not the cultural heritage that comes from Scandinavia. Um, and shows like Vikings do not help. It creates this image of like warriors, and it was a warrior religion. It was not a warrior religion.
I
It
was going to
was
say, I think when that show came out is when you started to see a lot of like this kind of
Oh yeah.
stuff pop up. It was, yeah, it was like very overly dramatic, very romanticized.
Yes, and it's almost become a struggle for both researchers and people within also through to sort of uh, gatekeep slash keep the knowledge level up, because you have this massive influx of people who are essentially, I have a cat wanting to get in front of the camera, who are essentially Odin fanboys, but their take on it is from shows like Vikings and I am a metal musician, but metal and stuff like that. And so they bring the idea into it. And for them, it's all about identity and looking more masculine and stuff like that. But within also true, it's about creating and establishing and upholding proper networks of sustainability with nature, and the gods and forces are a part of nature. And of course, there's more to it than that, but it wasn't it wasn't a warrior religion. It was historically something that all people, farmers and fishermen and humans did. Get away from the camera. And
No, let him come up, Joshua. Stop doing. Let the cat come up. LL has a
I
good
was
question.
waiting.
It's
And
actually
today,
really.
yeah. Sorry.
And
Sorry.
thank you for the super chat. No, it's okay. But it's a really good question. I had it pinned even before you sent the super chat because it was a good question. Is there a significant holiday, a Norse holiday, around February 13th?
No.
I want to say they said it had something to do with Odin's son, maybe. If that's what is it?
It depends on which god. He has a few sons, but so there could be, but again, because the problem we have here is that you have this thing called Old Norse religion, and then it gets interpreted by so many different people. Traditionally, no. There's four big festival holidays, but then different groups might create new ones. But if you, I think that if you were to look up Odinist holidays, you might find one, because
What is Disablot? That's early mid. Disablot. Sorry. So that's early mid February.
So here's the thing. This is why I said Disablot actually takes place in the beginning of winter. It's also called Veturnight or Winter Nights. It takes place in October. But if you type in so Odinism has its own, it doesn't follow, it's its own thing.
It says
And
modern heathens usually observe it between February 1st. So is that like
right? Well, oh man, I don't know how to begin to like I'm trying to say, you might find groups who, here, you're getting a cat in front of the camera. You might find groups who do.
You're dying to see him.
If you type in AFA holidays or Odinist holidays, you might find one, because what they did was they kind of adopted the Wiccan calendar, and then they just kind of placed in Nordic names and created a whole. But they're not traditional. They're not.
So when I type in
Scandinavia, Thorbloat takes place in January.
It's Pora, right? Porra bloat, right? Pora bloat. So
it's actually Thor.
Okay.
Thori. But that's not a traditional. It's actually an Icelandic national holiday.
What is
But
Feast
the thing,
of Valley the same? Is that the same? Feast of Valley?
Feast of Valley.
Yeah.
This is probably practiced by American. It's not a traditional.
By Brad Holders is.
He very well could be, but that's why I said if you type in Odinist holidays or AF, so the AFA stands for Austro Folk Assembly, and don't get on the camera or don't get on the computer. Get off the computer.
We want to see you, Kitty. Everybody wants to see the kitty.
He's a Maine Coon. He'll just destroy it.
I go
They
meow.
found out his name too.
I go meow.
So yeah. So
that's a big kitty.
That is a huge cat.
Yeah.
That reminds me of the one time I went to somebody's house in New Jersey. It was funny. We were there for the birthday, and I didn't know they had a cat. And they had those old blinds, like the long blinds that are like plastic, I guess they are. And out of nowhere came this, it looked like a lion coming out of it was in the windowsill, and it jumped out of those blinds, and it was an enormous cat. It can't be a normal cat.
His cat looks like it's been sucking on the titty of Thor.
No. His name is Tyr, actually. He's named after one of the Norse gods.
Of course he is.
Yes,
Perfect.
I love it.
So, but the thing is with holidays, what I'm trying to get at with this is
Bobcat.
Old Norse religion has been interpreted by a lot of different groups. And in order to figure out sort of exactly what kind of trappings and it's like Christianity has different sects, and they have different observances, but the American also really kind of falls into a couple categories, and the Odinists and the AFA they follow a very particular branch, and you would find I guarantee you, based on the evidence I've seen about this Holder guy, that if you want to see what holidays he celebrates, you can type in AFA, which means also True Folk Assembly, and they're racist, by the way. See what their holidays are, or you type in Odinist calendar. I don't remember their holidays offhand because to me they're irrelevant. And you can easily look them up. I have cat hair now, but you could look it up quite quickly, and you could find out if one of those holidays falls in February. But they have holidays like every month, so it's kind of hard to pin them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I also don't think it matters in this case, because again, we don't want to go too far into looking at what symbolism there is in Old Norse religion and how that relates to. I think we need to look at the crime scene and what we see there and what it tells us about who could have did it, and I mean the evidence points to it does point to Odinism, but it doesn't. It points to a person who practices Odinism and their use of it.
Their version, yes.
Right. And I think that's important because
yes,
he has his own particular takes on it, and therefore you're not going to, like I was saying earlier, my initial point was you're not going to find stick runes in bloats everywhere. So it's not a widespread thing. It's a very specific thing.
Right.
And I think that's actually significant bit of evidence that they can follow. It's not like, oh shit, there's a cross. Ah, we have to find all the Christians. It's a very specific thing.
Right.
So yeah.
I actually think it's more significant that it's not usual for everybody to do it. The fact that he does have these things that are very particular.
Agreed.
And sorry, I talk loud. I get it from you. And don't remember what I was going to say. It is very particular to him. I think that's more significant.
Like a signature for him, like you said earlier.
I keep seeing that over and over again, like the signature, but I don't understand. I don't understand what thought process like poo-pooed this. Like, how did you, not you, but how could someone just excuse away all these things one after the other? Like it's really not a big deal. It really just doesn't make any sense to me.
It
It's
doesn't
actually
make
quite
sense because the guy who's sitting in jail has no reason to put sticks and formations on top of murder victims. He has no reason to splatter blood in the shape of an F or a rune. Unless they find this stuff in his background, which they haven't, he doesn't have these connections.
There is
No,
nothing
he
at
has no
all.
reason to pose the girls in a way that
mimics what this guy's
ironically,
book says.
right. Meanwhile, you got another guy who has all of these connections, and that's what I find is quite significant.
Sleuthie, before I forget, you wanted to ask him about this.
Me?
Oh, yes. So this was from his Facebook. Do you know what this says?
I'm
So
bad with it. I have to look it up. It's easy to look up.
he had these like books, like
Yeah.
he was like obsessed. So he had these books and they were like diaries, like little journals. He'd mark the dates and stuff, and he would like practice, and he would like assign, maybe you can tell me what this is. He would like assign numbers.
Protection. It says protection.
Hmm.
It says protection. Yeah. No, it says protection.
What's the date on this, Eva? I took these. So I took all these screenshots like
April 19th, 2017.
No, this one,
So right
100%,
after the murder.
it says protection.
So 2 months after the murders.
Yeah, but I mean, I see neo-pagans posting stuff like this constantly. I mean, runes saying protection is pretty standard.
But what about the assigning numbers to them? Have you seen?
Yeah.
I couldn't decode it, so I just stopped trying.
No, they have numbers associated with them too. The rune.
Oh, okay.
Every rune equates to a number of just where it falls on the runic alphabet. So the thing that you guys think is a P, but it's actually a sound. It looks like a thorn. It's the very first. No, it's not the first. Sorry, it's the third. It's because it's called the Futhark. The runic alphabet is called the Futhark. So the first letter is Fie, which is an F, and its value is 1 because it's the first. And then U is 2 because it's the second. And then the thorn thing is the third, so its number is 3. And then you go until the end, and every rune has its own number.
Oh.
And then, yeah.
I also want to tell you, because I don't know if you know this, because you seem pretty sure, like I am, that that's an F on the tree.
Yeah.
But the explanation that was given for what that is that Libby, because the other girl didn't have blood on her, but on her hands and stuff, but Libby, that she had like blood on the right here, like this area right here, and they're trying to say that she leaned that area upside down, like onto the tree. Like leaned it on the tree, and also her thumb, and like somehow it made that. No, you don't think so? Okay.
No, and I mean, I'm not a forensic investigator, but no. There's got to be a way. There's got to be a way to like force them to look at it again. Maybe like say like, I don't know. Look, like I am an expert on Norse religion, and I'm looking at this and I'm saying, I mean, not the evidence that it's connected to the Norse religion, but those connections are there in that they relate to a specific type of yes, but at the very least, not the guy in jail.
Right. And actually, the Purdue professor, when they eventually found him, they interviewed him. His opinion was that it was clearly like the sticks and stuff were clearly some type of runes. But that essentially there's really no way to know. Like he could sit there and try to decode them, but really the person that he was of the opinion basically they were bind runes, which I always was insistent upon, even though I don't know anything about this stuff. I'm like, it looks like if they can't figure out what they are, which also would be a little difficult because like sticks aren't perfectly straight, obviously.
Yeah, that was why I was having a hard time. But I also said that I think that they're bind. I don't think I know they're bind runes. Well, they're either bind runes or if they're Nordic, then they're bind runes. Otherwise they are something different. But if they're runes, then they're bind runes, and that's super hard to interpret if you're not the person who did it. Especially when they're sticks, because I can't tell if each branch is supposed to be an arm of a rune or if it's just part of the branch, plus they're wiggly. I do think that they're upside down, at least with the girl who was posed like Odin. So, but yeah.
I always thought that. I'm like, why are we assuming that the person? So the idea is when someone walks upon this, I want them to have this certain visualization of all the things that are here. So for instance, even just the F tree being farther away, one could think that they'd be like, I want them to see this F tree first with all this blood at the base of it and be like, what the hell's going on here? And then you find, you walk up on these girls. And I always wondered, like, why are we assuming that this person is envisioning someone walking upon them at their feet rather than their heads, which is actually how the crime scene photos the one of Abby, you saw that was the view that we had of her was from her head. But there's that puddle too. I'll have to get that picture too, so that Eva can send it to you, because there was also that puddle. There was a puddle of blood that had sticks over it as well, like an asterisk. But it was not meant to conceal them, because there were leaves everywhere that would have effectively covered their bodies.
I want to. It sounds like we're probably going to need a part 2 here, because there's so much to cover. And I also want to be cognizant of Joshua's time, not just because he's been on here for 2 hours. Yeah, it's 5 in the morning. Yeah.
I have plans tonight, later today. I'm going to go see Primate.
Nice.
But I want to. I was interested in this case because of the Odinism angle, and at first I was like, okay, is this going to be me going on to have to once again say, stop demonizing people who practice Norse religion? I'm really glad I got the chance to see what's going on, because to me it seems quite clear, based on what we have, that there's a very good possibility that there's an innocent man sitting in jail, and that there's a killer who is out. And therefore, I would like to say, as a expert and practicer of Ausatru, that if you can get your listeners and people to do what they can to try and, whether it's letters or whatever it is, to try and force enough attention, reach out to Damien Echoes, the Memphis 3, the West Memphis 3 guys. Like,
I was going to reach out to Kim Kardashian. I mean, I'm not below anybody.
But like, you reach out to people who might have voices to try and get them to look at it, because I think the evidence it needs to be looked at again for the safety of future people, and because an innocent man might very well be in jail. I strongly think that is what's going on here. So what else can you do than try to really create attention? So that would be what I have to say after looking at all of this. That's my strong opinion. I'll even reach out to, I don't know who I'd reach out to. I'll do something.
Oh, Eva, you did so good. This guy gets it.
Yeah, and really, that's why we're here, right? That Frank's memo is essentially a letter to the justice system saying something is off, right? You guys overlooked evidence. You guys ignored stuff. And that's the first letter that's written. And I think getting people on like you and Sleuthie who are passionate about, it's not just you have the wrong guy, right? You have 2 innocent teenage girls that are dead, and people claiming that there's justice for these. Well, if you don't have the right person in prison, you don't have justice for shit.
You just have further injustice.
Exactly.
Yes, another injustice.
Joshua,
so you actually have 3 victims. So
yeah,
exactly. Yeah, Joshua, I know it's late and I know you have shit to do. We will reach out maybe later this week and get you back on, but first let you rest and go watch Primate. We really appreciate you coming on with your expertise, your time, and again, it's 5 a.m, so that is really appreciated and loved having you on. And I think the people in the chat loved having you on. Sleuthie and Eva did as well. So I'll let them say goodnight. We'll resume for a little bit here, and then we're going to hang it up too, and we will schedule a part 2.
Thank you for having me, everybody. And if I'm back on, then I guess we'll talk then.
Yeah, definitely love to have you back. And really quick, I wanted to let you just tell everybody where they can find a little bit more about what you do. You're studying for your PhD, and then also give a little credit to your band if everybody wants to check that out too.
If you're into black metal, you can find me. I mean, you guys can probably link my contact stuff.
Yes.
But Eagle on the Ash on Instagram and on Facebook. And I also have my personal Facebook, but it's better to go to my pages. And my band is Nexion, Nexion. So yeah, I guess and I'm at University of Iceland. I live in Norway though, because I'm in the final stages. I'm just writing the final parts of the thesis. So yeah. So that's that.
Awesome. It was really great meeting you, and thank you so much. I know I enjoyed the conversation. Sleuthie, I'll let you say goodbye.
I don't want to say much because I want to leave it on all the things that he said because I agreed with everything, but I am grateful that you've been here. I'm sorry I've talked your ear off, but I hope I get to talk it off again. So,
I'm going to put you two in contact too. So if you guys want to talk more about this, I think that would be productive conversation.
Probably because this is a situation where I think people need to step up and do something. So yeah, but really appreciate it. I'm gonna go to sleep.
Sleep well, man. Have a good night, and thank you for showing us your kitty. Have a good night.
Your mountain lion.
Yeah, mountain lion. All right, that was a good conversation. Okay.
I'm sorry I took over. He was amazing.
Yeah, it was
good job, Eva.
Yeah,
I knew it was going to be good. That's what I was hoping for, that you guys would talk and me and Nerdy could just sit back and hang out.
That was really nice. Like I just had to take care of the beginning videos and the intro, and like after that, I knew it was like Sleuthie and him were going at it. Eva, I echo what Sleuthie said. It was really hard to find someone local, never mind someone internationally that was an expert at this. And you did an amazing job finding the right person. So thank you again.
Good job, Eva.
Guy knows his stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting that he was able to, instead of just looking at it and being like, oh, because that's what the police did, right? They're like, oh, Odinists don't do that, so forget it. That's just not true. There's not Odinist symbols everywhere. Whereas he's like, oh, that's like not true. They don't do that. But then he's like, wait a fucking second. I'm looking at this guy. Maybe Odinists don't do that, but he does that. And that's really unusual.
But yeah, janky Timu Brad Holder Odinist does that. Yes, right. Exactly. Yeah. He didn't just come on and say it is or it isn't. Like, he saw what we're all seeing.
Yeah.
Which says a lot when the guy is writing his thesis on stuff like this. So
I thought he was great. One of the best guests on a show, I can honestly say.
We appreciate you getting, I know a lot of people that follow Sleuthie came in tonight. I want to say thank you, Sleuthie, for having your people come in and watch this with us. Huge shout out to the mods this evening. The people that sent super chats, it's much appreciated. We will make sure that we get round 2 here, part 2 with Joshua. There's a lot that we haven't covered. There's a lot. Like we discussed 2 names, Elvis and Brett Holder, and there's like 20 names in this document. Sleuthie, Eva and I were going back and forth in group chat with a lot of the information, but we didn't want to waste Joshua's time when we wanted to focus on the Odinism, right? So we will
Shove him
schedule a
down a
part
rabbit
2. Yeah. He was telling us before, he's like, I do true crime too. Now we've definitely thrown him down the rabbit hole. So
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I guarantee you, he's gonna be Googling this case.
100%.
He's gonna be reading through that Frank's memo.
He's gotten fired up about it. You could tell, which I'm glad for. I'm happy for, and appreciative and grateful.
Yeah, that's how, I mean, well, like you said, like the more I learn about this, like you guys spent a lot of time on this case, and me and Nerdy really, we didn't get too much into it. Like we were aware of it and like following, along and stuff, but like my blood is boiling. Like the more I find out and the more we go through, like just that last live that we did where we watched his interview with like the linguistics thing, like it really is like an innocent man is sitting in jail, and how, like, what do we do? Like, what is there? Like, what do we do now? Because this, like, it's not right.
this case has been ratchet fucked up from the beginning, right? I mean, before Sleuthie even dived into this case, we all as a community knew that there was a bridge guy and there was a sketch out there. I mean, never mind all this in the Frank's memo. It doesn't even look anything like the sketch.
That's right.
It's absolutely bonkers to me that we ended up here. And just like I've said on previous streams, like his demeanor during the 2 interviews that I've watched is not the demeanor of someone that has even a fucking clue what the police are talking about. He's not pretending. He's not faking. He clearly doesn't have a clue what police are talking about at points in that interview. And free Richard Allen. That's all I got to say. I hope folks have enjoyed this. I have. This was a really good conversation. Even I made a commitment this year to, we have all the technical pieces down, right? She has Nerdy here and got the streams down. Sometimes I have audio issues, but we really wanted to do a better job with guests, and we're going to continue doing that. And this was a good start. Excellent find. Eva, yeah, this was amazing. Sleuthie, always amazing having you on and your input, even your rabbit holes sometimes. We welcome you here anytime, so it's appreciated. What are you doing in preparation for the snow?
Did I tell you about the snowblower? I did not buy the snowblower. I did, though, buy the heater, the kerosene heater, but she almost got me on the snowblower. I did not get it, though.
Were they even available?
What?
Were they even available? Like, if you committed to one, could you have found one?
Days ago on Amazon, it was like a $70. My mom just sent it to me, and she's like, just in case, like she thought it would be fun, like a fun snow toy, like to have. And I'm like, I don't need a snowblower. What do you first? And it was electric. I'm not plugging it into my house in order to blow snow 30 feet.
It's got more torque though. The electric ones have way more torque. Less time that you can use it, but way more torque.
I'm like, if we're gonna do anything, like I need a generator, like a big generator, like where I can I want to keep my internet. I want to be able to charge my stuff. So I think I'll save for that.
If you looked on TikTok, Eva's addicted to TikTok shopping. You know what she had me get her for Christmas?
I can't order anything. I don't even want to hear it. I can't order anything.
She had me get her a vacuum, Sleuthie, a vacuum. I'm like, are you fucking sure? Is this a trick? Like she found this vacuum that can vacuum up dry and wet, and like she lives by it now. But like I got her other stuff too. I didn't just get her a vacuum, but she found a vacuum on TikTok. It's called the Dream Vacuum, and like I asked her like 3 or 4 times, like, are you sure? Is this a setup? Like, do you really want a vacuum for Christmas? But she shops on TikTok all the time, and it's not bad stuff, actually. It works pretty well.
I want
that vacuum.
Is that the one? I want to buy so many things on TikTok Shop, but I can't. I don't know why. It like literally won't let me put in my address. I've tried all different addresses. It won't let me do it. So I've stopped going on it. But is it the vacuum? Have you seen the videos where they put a bunch of shit in the floor?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
It's that one.
Oh, I've seen it. Yeah, it's probably a good thing I can't buy anything from TikTok Shop. I'd be in a lot of trouble.
You can get it on Amazon too.
Oh, thanks. I needed that because I definitely can order from Amazon.
This thing is amazing. It's all hard floors in my house. The only thing that's carpeted is the stairs. So it's a fucking nightmare with 3 kids, 2 dogs. Like the floors, like I have to sweep, then mop, and it's a huge house. This thing, it's one and done. It vacuums, it mops, it picks up anything, and it like takes me 5 minutes to do all the downstairs. I love it.
I love that. Oh, I'll tell you what we are doing though. So we're gonna have our first sleepover. tomorrow. I wasn't going to let him go anywhere because I am a freak. And so I'm like,
he's staying the night somewhere else for the first time?
Hell no. Somebody's going to come stay here.
Oh, I was going to say, your nerves are going to be shot.
No, I can't. I just can't, and I won't. My best friend, he could, I would trust him to go with her and her son. But like, other than that, and I've known her for 2 decades, but, his friend from the bus, he's like a grade older than him. They sit together all the time. He's coming over tomorrow to spend the night. That way they can play in the snow on Sunday because they live in our development. So like if we could just walk him home, I guess. Well, somebody can walk him home because it's up a big like mountain, but we'll walk him home. So yeah, so we're going to do that. We've bought a bunch of food we don't need. We have like 3 gallons of milk here.
With the milk, I don't understand why people get so much milk. Like, anyways.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, we got a little one knocking on the door here. Yeah, we love you guys. Everyone, be kind to yourself. Be kind to those around you. Please stay safe during the snowstorm. I will probably be live tomorrow because it's going to be a shit storm on the emergency radio scanner. So I'll be live there probably. Thank you all for joining tonight. Thank the mods for keeping this a safe spot. Safe space tonight. LL, Christine, hello, Spring, Kim. Thank you so much for the super chats. Thank you, everyone, for the questions and the input. Everyone go have a safe, peaceful night, and we appreciate you being here. Please make sure you leave your DNA on that like button before leaving. And if you're not subscribed, please consider doing so. We love you guys. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Everyone, be well. Good night.